Hey everyone, Dr. Erik here from MedBetter Health, and I want to share a very emotional story with you. I really do. You know, I had the privilege of being in a support group where caregivers are there and they speak to one another. And very often, if you're a caregiver and you're listening, you're thinking, where do I have the time for another thing to do? The support group is just another thing that adds on to my schedule, which is already overwhelmed. I'm not going to do it. So let me tell you this story, which really actually made me want to cry. So I'm in a support group, and there's a person there, we'll call him Harry, and he's taking care of his wife, and his wife has dementia. And he's talking to the support people there, and he says, you know, my wife, as the dementia got worse, she starts to hoard stuff, right? Our house is full of hoarding. And I'm a neat freak, and it annoys me. Like, how many of you guys listening have someone who you love who has dementia, and hoarding is a problem, right? Keeping all old things, not wanting to throw it out, stacking it all over. So, you know, I'm the doctor there, I'm a fly on the wall, but I wanted to offer my opinion. So I say, well, have you tried getting a professional person to come in and help clean? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? And what was I using? I was using logic, right? I was using logic. Do this, do that. And every time I would tell this gentleman, let's call him Harry, every time I tell him, Harry, do this, do that, Harry would say, no, it's not going to work. No, it's not going to work. No, it's not. And I'm like, man, listen, you just don't want nothing to work. Then the conversation stopped, and another caregiver, we'll call her Lucy, she was there in the support group too. She looks at Harry and says, Harry, can I be honest with you? Can I tell you something? And then there was a full pause for dramatic effect, right? Pause. And Harry looks at her and is like, yeah, you could tell me. I don't think that the real problem is the fact that the hoarding. I think the real problem, Harry, is that you probably don't know whether you can continue to take care of your loved one anymore. That's the real problem. It's not the hoarding. You're just saying it's the hoarding. And now this other caregiver, I'm thinking, uh-oh, gloves are going to come off right now, right? What's going to happen? You don't accuse me of not being able. All of a sudden, there's silence. They look at each other, and Harry tells her, you know what? And he starts to cry. And he says, you know what? You're right. That is the real reason. That's the reason why I keep on saying hoarding. It's not, there's many things, but within me, I'm not sure I can continue being a caregiver, and I feel guilty inside because this is someone who I love and I have to take care of, I feel, and I don't want to let them go, and I don't know who to talk to about it because inside it's eating me up. So hoarding was just covering for the real feeling. So where doctors and clinicians use logic, your own peers use emotion. And in these situations, logic doesn't work. The only way to get through is if you are actually in the same spot or you were in the same spot. Now, another caregiver who was in the support group said, listen, Harry, I know exactly what you're going through. I had the same thing with my husband, but let me tell you what I did. And all of a sudden, I started to see the magic happen. And that's why I felt emotional, because I actually saw Harry turn from someone who's using hoarding as an excuse to actually having a deep conversation with his peers. That was life-changing for Harry. So yes, did Harry spend time in the support group? Does he come once a week or once every 2 weeks? Yes, he does. But what was the big change? The big change was that he was able to talk through and identify the real reason with his peers. Why do I say that? You know, statistics are very important. Let's take a look at the numbers. Here's a good statistic. 557 days. Interesting. What does this mean? Well, in a study which was done in 2006, and it was done by Middleman et al. It had a controlled study. This isn't your, simple chat GPT study. This is a real study. And it studied caregivers for 9.5 years. 9.5 years. And it found, what did it find? It found that longer at home for persons living with dementia, 557 days. Well, what specifically? When caregivers participated in a support group, their loved ones with dementia stayed at home an average of 557 days longer before needing a nursing home placement. Why? Because the care of the caregiver is important too. Because when they got burnt out faster because they couldn't share with other people, I can't handle it anymore. But when you can have that conversation, when you know you're not alone, when you can get support and people can take and say, look, I did this and made my life easier, why don't you do this? Then you're able to have your loved one with you if you're able to, right? Longer. That's an incredible statistic. Here's an incredible statistic. 28% actually fewer nursing home placements. People who actually, caregivers who went to support groups, their loved ones, 28% less placed in a nursing home. Wow. And here's the kicker over here. They looked at 30 different studies, all 30 different studies with thousands of caregivers. And what did they find? They found that support groups improve caregiver mental health. 30 independent research studies found that caregiver support groups consistently reduced what? Depression, emotional burden easing, and improved overall well-being for caregivers of people living with dementia. That is huge, huge. Why is that important? Well, because, you know, there's a new program out there, and it's called the Guide Model. Who made the program? Medicare. Why? To focus on caregivers. Things like this, like I'm teaching you now, this is exactly what the Guide Model does. It educates caregivers. It provides support to caregivers. And support in education, support in, hey, let me link you to a support group in your area that you may not know, that I may know, and we'll connect you to it. And also, but who's going to watch Harry while I'm there at the support group? Oh, well, Medicare will pay for something called respite. So you can go to the support group. Someone will sit with Harry and watch Harry during that time. Wow. So, support groups are amazing. If you're interested in learning more about how you can get this type of support, let us know. You need to learn about the Guide Model. It's just an incredible program. There's a link that you'll see over here. I want you to go to it. You're going to see a video that talks about all the incredible benefits of the Guide Model, including 24/7 hotline support at no cost. You don't change your doctor, you don't change your insurance, right? It's an incredible program. You're going to watch the video, it's going to explain all of it, and on the bottom I want you to fill out a form with some basic information. And once you fill out that form, our team will give you a call, and then what happens? Then in essence, we talk to you about the Guide Model, we see if you're eligible, we enroll you, and then you get the help that you deserve because you're not alone. Talk to you soon.